Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome to Temple B'nai Israel. It's great to see everyone here this evening, those of us joining in person and those on the stream. Shabbat Shalom. Let's all wave and turn to our neighbors and say Shabbat Shalom. Let's greet each other.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
My name is Rabbi Josh Lobel. I'm joined on the bima by cantorial soloist Beth Gelman and our adult Benot Mitzvah class. It's a really exciting evening. Our students have studied this past year to reach this sacred moment in time. They'll be leading us in worship. They will be reading from the Torah. They'll be giving us a Devar Torah, an interpretation of their Torah portion. For those of you who might be new to the synagogue, we have prayer books right in front of you in the seat pocket. Everyone is encouraged to read along with the readings, to sing along with all of the prayers, to make your voices heard. It's going to be, again, a really wonderful service. It's great to see just so many people here filling our sanctuary for this Shabbat. We're going to turn to page 128, a song of welcome, a song of joy at being together, Hine Ma Tov.
Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. This is call and response. Here we go. How good it is.
Good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is.
To be together on this day. Here we go again. How good it is. How sweet it is. To be together on this day. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
As part of the ritual of becoming a bar or bat mitzvah, it's our tradition that our students receive a talis, a prayer shawl that is traditional in the Jewish faith. We're going to ask that our Benot mitzvah students rise and go to their appointed person who's going to present them with the talis. Dr. Sonia Linke and Rael Slavinsky, Stan and Maureen Rosewater, and Michael Siegel are going to do the honors of presenting our class with their talis. And we're going to have you guys wrap the talis around them. But as we're going to do that, actually, let's say the blessing first. We'll hold it up. And we will say together, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehit atef batzitzit. Do we say amen?
Amen.
Okay, now we're going to do a little rapping here. So, yeah. There we go. You're going to use your arms to keep it in place. And Mazel Tov. Let's join together as we say Shehechianu to recognize the singular moment in time.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
We're now going to turn in our prayer book to page 120 and 121. Kabbalat Panim, we welcome Shabbat with the lighting of candles. So you'll find the readings on those pages, and then after that we're going to turn for Kiddush on page 122 and 123.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us.
As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Let's rise together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotah v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We're on the next page.
The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all of the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lamikra'e kodesh zecher letziyat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha v'yahava uvratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim.
L'chaim. And now, please be seated.
We're going to turn to page 138 and 139 for the singing of the Chadodi. We're singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, and we'll rise in the last verse. We'll face the door as we symbolically greet the Sabbath bride.
Thank you. Lichadoti likrat kala, yalalai, yalalai, lalalai, b'nei Shabbat, nekabelai, day, day, day. Lichadoti likrat kala, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabelai. Shamor v'sachor, בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת. נקבלה די די די, לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת. נקבלה לקראת שבת, לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם ניסוחה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת. נקבלה די די די, לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת. נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בא האורך, קומי אורי, אורי, אורי. שיר דבר, כבוד אדוני עלייך נכלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת. נקבלה די די די, לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת. נקבלה. Do we rise and we turn to the door? בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם ברינה וצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת. נקבלה די די די, לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת. נקבלה.
Please be seated. And we now call to come forward Leah Slavinsky to present us with her Devar Torah.
Good evening, everyone. Family and friends, we're so glad to have you here. And those online, thank you for joining us. I'm thrilled you're all here tonight. Sorry. I'm going to tell you a story of why I'm standing here a few years late for having a bat mitzvah. Some of you have heard the story before, but don't nap yet. It's early in the service.
I started Hebrew school in 1958 and even had a bat mitzvah date set for December 1963. You do the math. After 6 years of Hebrew and even more of religious school, I wasn't sure I wanted to do this. After studying with growing anxiety, I asked my parents about the very vital part of B'nai Mitzvah. Would I get a party like my brother? The answer was unequivocally no. Then I asked the question, did they care if I did this? And the answer again was no. When I asked myself if I should put myself through all this stress, I said no. Up until last year, I was sorry I didn't become a bat mitzvah. So the blessing of reading Torah and taking responsibility for my Jewish life waited quite a few decades, but I never again said no to something because I was scared. After confirmation, yes, I did go through with that, I counted on my cantor rabbi father for my Jewish education. He would answer all the questions I had, but then I lost him. And while I observed holidays and went to services on high holidays, I was not really connected to the Jewish world. What led me here today was connection, particularly with my two Benot Mitzvah sisters. I had the benefit of their compassion through their monthly caregiving group. They were such devoted and kind leaders, I thought if they were representative of the women at Temple B'nai Mitzvah, I want to belong where they belonged. For as long as I can remember, I knew I was a Jew and proud of it. Of course, what it means to be a Jew is something different for each of us. It's heritage, it's in my blood, it's cultural. I am Jewish because I went to Hebrew school. I observe high holidays. My mother is a Jew. My father was a Jew. I didn't practice, but I've still been a victim of anti-Semitism. I am all of the above. I started my Benot Mitzvah studies with the intention of learning more about the entity we have been instructed to look to for guidance in our lives, namely God. And we did study the varying points of view of theologians throughout the ages, from Philo, who believed in monotheism, to the rational Maimonides, who reconciled Torah with science and philosophy. Then we compared the mysticism of Kabbalah, the transactional I and the rational thou of Martin Buber taught the importance of presence. Our being engaged is the way to experience God. The 20th century theologian Milton Steinberg theorized that we must accept the existence of God on faith alone. He said, logic itself cannot bring us to the belief in God. What I learned is whether believing in the existence, the status, the abilities of God, we as Jews have a role to be a force in the world, a force for good. We must work to repair the world, tikkun olam. Studying B'nai Mitzvah led me to understand the importance of living a Jewish life, a life of continuous learning, giving, sharing, and being responsible for our community, inside our congregation and out. With Rabbi Lebel's leadership, Temple B'nai Israel takes us out of what some may feel their comfort zone to stand strong within the interfaith community. Support for this thinking and taking action here aligns with my own thinking regarding my responsibility to the world. I challenge you to consider how you will address Tikkun Olam. I can't end my speech without acknowledging my inspiring ancestors. My maternal great-grandmother, my grandmother, and her two sisters, my aunts, they emigrated from the Ukraine. Thinking of their determination and strength, I understand how the Ukrainians are fighting back against all odds. I think of them as I do my ancestors and wish them safety and peace. You know, you never achieve your goals alone. I want to thank those who helped me get to the Bima tonight. I've thrived from the valuable and entertaining teachings of Rabbi Lebel. His open conversations and deep compassion for the world continually reinforce Tikkun Olam. The deep friendship of Sandy and Kelly, along with our silent partner and my dear friend, Barbara Glowacki, who learned along with us throughout the year, and my daughter, Alyssa, who popped in on Tuesdays for our Zoom meetings. The mom-sister call center was staffed by my son, David, and my brother, Ryle. Cousin Aaron, you helped me remember Hebrew, and my friend Ken, who called me routinely to listen and correct my Hebrew journey to achieve this mitzvah, the blessing of reading Torah I've put off for 59 years. One last note. After we've prayed for her recovery, singing Mishberach every Friday night since January 2021, my mother, Sonia, has recovered enough from long-term COVID at 94 to join us tonight and place my father's talit on my shoulders. Mommy, I will never forget your presence and the miracle of your being here tonight. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
We're going to now rise together as we continue with the Baruch Hu, our call to worship.
Et Adonai Ham. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due, now and forever.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. La 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over?
Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. We're on page 151.
As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery.
Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. On the next page.
Shema Yisrael,
Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We're on page 154 as we continue with Via Hafta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'kol levavecha, uv'chol nafshecha, uv'chol mo'edecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ela, asher anoki mitzavtecha hayom al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha, v'divartam bam, v'shiftecha b'veitecha, uvleftecha b'derech, uvshaptecha uvkvecha, uvshartam le'ot al yedecha, v'hayu letotefot bein einecha, uvtatam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. Lema'an tizkeru asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'hitem kedushim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem lelohim, ani Adonai Elohechem.
And now we're going to continue as Kelly Siegel presents her Devar Torah.
Good evening, everyone. Beshert, my journey to Judaism. As a young woman in my 20s, I strongly believed that I was forging my own path. I was in the driver's seat, creating my own destiny. I was in charge. For the past 20 years, I have looked backward, reviewed my life, realized that people were placed in my path. that my beliefs and my relationship with God were established before I even realized. Choices were made for me, yet they felt like my own. One of those choices was to be Jewish. It was beshert, Hebrew for meant to be or destiny. As a young child, I talked to God. I believed I was surrounded by God. I remember at one point wondering if I should talk to Jesus. I felt very strongly that I needed to speak directly to God. It was not a decision or a choice. It was beshert. I did not grow up in a Jewish household. I was raised to be respectful and welcoming to others. My parents did not tolerate racial slurs, off-color jokes, anti-Semitic comments. When I was on break from my graduate studies, my parents took me to a commercial real estate convention in Las Vegas for my father's work. We went to many parties, took several tours, attended spectacular shows, and met many of their friends. One special couple was local from here, Betty Sembler of blessed memory and her husband Mel. Apparently, on that trip, Betty told my mother that I should marry a Jewish man. Beshert. After Michael and I became more serious, the conversation turned to marriage and children. Michael shared with me that it was very important to him to raise his children Jewish. I liked that idea, beshert. During our premarital counseling, we discussed many topics with the rabbi. We discussed the possibility of my converting to Judaism, how Jews are measured by their good deeds and actions, and what it meant to be a good Jew. Those principles and values were already instilled within me and validated at that time. I decided that I did not want to convert to Judaism for marriage, that if the time came, I wanted to do it for me. As our firstborn, Corey, was ready for preschool, we were looking at two choices, a neighborhood school and a Jewish preschool. Many friends raved about the neighborhood preschool, and the teacher assured me that she had many Jewish children in previous years, even though it was located in a church. When we went to the informational session, we were surprised to discover that the children would be attending weekly sessions with the pastor in the chapel. That made our decision that if we were to raise our children Jewish, they needed to attend a Jewish preschool, beshert. My Jewish education really began at the Kent Jewish Community Center preschool alongside my children, Corey and Amy. If you want to learn about Judaism, volunteer at a Jewish preschool in summer camp. Renee Feynman, Jory Mazarski, Susan Traub, and Esther Schweigman were not just my children's teachers. They were my teachers too. The school was well-rounded, teaching to children of all the Jewish denominations and bringing in rabbis from the synagogues that were Reform, Conservative, Orthodox, which is our local Chabad community. I felt Jewish, and they treated me that way. We had large family celebrations for the Jewish holidays in our home with my sister-in-law Cheryl by my side showing me the way. During this period, I felt the strongest pull and completed my conversion to Judaism. As my children grew past bar and bat mitzvah age, our parents' health declined, we got busy, and disengaged from temple life. Years passed, and I returned to the workforce, where I was offered the opportunity to engage the Jewish community to learn more about hospice care. Once again, I engaged with Jewish congregations of all denominations and great diversity, beshert. I re-engaged at Temple B'nai Israel and became involved. Currently, I serve on the Jewish Family Services Advisory Council for Gulf Coast Jewish Family and Community Services and as a board member to the Jewish Federation of Florida's Gulf Coast. It was with the Federation that I completed Jewish leadership training led by Rabbi Danielle Upin. I am so grateful for the variety of Jewish educational opportunities that I have received. Here are a few tidbits that describe my love for Judaism, my relationship with God, the people that I have met and supported me, that being Jewish is not a singular definition. There is much diversity. That we are encouraged to question, and there are not always answers. That my love for planning is a joke to God. The feeling of support from my temple family. The sense of release and relaxation that I receive at the end of Friday night services and the beginning of Shabbat. Rabbi, I thank you for that. My decision to have a bat mitzvah has been on my mind since I learned about the experience roughly 20 years ago. I put it on my retirement bucket list. When Leah and Sandy encouraged me to join the bat mitzvah class, I knew it was beshert to join 3 amazing study partners, Leah, Sandy, and Barbara, who continued to ask so many questions, even at 9 o'clock at night when my brain had already shut down. I have learned not to put off things that I want to accomplish. I have seen others run out of time. I have learned that it's not always about agreeing with the lesson or understanding the meaning of the lesson, but the struggle and growth you feel through the process. The process of becoming a bat mitzvah was the culmination of all my opportunities and lessons up to this point. I wonder what is in store for me next. What I do know is that another door has opened and I'm ready. Thank you to all who have supported me on my journey to Judaism.
We're now going to turn to page 158 as we continue with Mi Chamocha.
Ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'eta b'kodesh, norat tehilot osefele, norat tehilot osefele. Malechutecha ra'u banecha, bokei hayam b'yam Moshe. Ze'eli anu ve'amru, ze'eli anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. And now, if you will turn to page 162 and join us in Vishamru. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berid olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורות רידולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריד עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריד עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושומרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריד עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריד עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריד עולם.
On page 164, we rise together for the Amidah HaTefilah.
Come on down.
And we're going to continue in the Hebrew through page 170.
Adonai Sivataitita Ufia Gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zoker Chastei Avot V'ima'ot, Umevi Gula Livnei B'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mikayel HaKol Atah Rav Lo Hashia, Marid Hatov, Michakel Chayim B'Chesed, Michaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, So mayeth no flim v'chokei kolim, Umatir Asurim, Umakayen Emunateho, Lishanei Afar, Michal Mocha Ba'al Geverot, Umidom Melach, Melach Mimid Umachaye, Umatzmiya Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lekayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Michael
kadosh, v'shimcha kadosh, v'koshim tologam lahaluch hasela, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated. We now turn to page 177.
God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us, so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us, and for all these and more we offer thanks.
Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. And now we're going to invite Sandy Sunter to present us with her Devar Torah.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody here in our sanctuary, and those of you far away and or at home tonight. Okay, so why? So why now? Why tonight? Why not now, and why not tonight? This is the time for me. I have wanted to have a bat mitzvah for years, especially with the urging of my sister Maureen, who had her bat mitzvah years ago and still speaks of how meaningful it was to her. Now, I had planned to have a bat mitzvah some years ago. Oh, I took some Hebrew classes and rabbi's Bible classes, but for whatever reason, it wasn't my time. To be honest, it wasn't my time because I didn't make it my time. Other priorities such as work, then there was work, and of course there's always work. And then there was some time for family and friends and a few of those other things mundane like laundry and house cleaning and cooking. And everything and everyone else needed my time. So again, why now? Well, I got hooked on Rabbi LaBelle's Bible class with my friends, and some friendships were made with Kelly and Leah and Barbara. I mentioned to them that I would like to have my bat mitzvah, and jokingly, I just asked them to think about doing it with me, and they both said yes. This time was right for me and them as well. And here was the opportunity to study and learn and take this journey with friends. Although I didn't know it at the time when I spoke with Rabbi about having a bat mitzvah, that my role here at Temple B'nai Israel would change. From a job as the office coordinator to accepting the role of a co-president, a role I'd be sharing with Paul Gross and a newly formed board. After much thought, still asking myself, Sandy, why? I accepted the offer. For me, this was the time to give back to my TBI community. Whatever time I still have left, I want and give of my time. I felt ready to take on the responsibility of working with others and to help TBI move into the future. Also, this time could be an opportunity maybe to be a role model for some others who maybe never had their bat or bar mitzvah, and maybe I could show that it's never too late to take the plunge and do something that you've always wanted to do and just couldn't find the time or the opportunity. And that now, it is the time, so there'll be no regrets later on. Maybe it's the time for Sandy Sunter, the mom, the grandmother, the bubby, the great-grandmother, mental health counselor, actor with Sages, community volunteer, but mostly proudly Sandy the Jew, to participate in a ritual that has been performed for generations, to make commitment to do what is required of me, and take the time and to make this my priority. This has been a bit scary, stepping out of my comfort zone, but if not now, when? We recently celebrated my favorite Jewish holiday, Passover. I love this holiday. I loved it as a child when we would even clean out the chametz from the kitchen and clean out the cupboards and make room for Passover dishes, one for the meat and one for the dairy, and then to watch my mother and my grandmother fix food that you really get only that one time of year, not to mention the matzah. And I'll be honest, I still love this holiday, but I don't change the dishes. And you probably would find quite a bit of chametz still lurking in my cupboards. But as an adult, the Passover story is not only how we Jews were freed from Egypt and following Moses into the desert, wandering and questioning why and being tested along the way. Every year, the Passover story is also my story. It's my time every year to identify my Egypt. What is it, my Egypt, that holds me back? What keeps me enslaved? Although I may feel less than happy in that Egypt, it's even scarier to try something else, to step out of my comfort zone, knowing that there will be bumps and bruises. Doing this is by no means fun, yet, after the time of introspection, I remembered this. I am resilient. I have made a decision about my bat mitzvah, changing my role at TBI, not based on fear, but based on hope and faith and belief in myself. At the time I made the commitment to Rabbi, my amazing sister, Maureen, and brother Stan Rosewater, invited me to go with them and the family to Israel. A coincidence? I think not. The trip had been canceled twice because of COVID, but then finally it came and it was time. When I stepped onto the ground of Israel, my eyes just filled with tears. Why? It wasn't sadness and even joy or excitement, but it was something in my soul, something in my neshama that was so deep within me that the only way I could express myself was with tears. What was it about this trip? I have been to Israel before. Why? Why now? First of all, I was with family. Actually, there were 3 generations of the Rosewater families who have been here at Temple B'nai Israel for many years. And I was able to go because I'm the baby sister, make sure I'm the baby, of Maureen and Stan, and I just knew Stan would just not be happy if his little pesky sister was not along with him, so he knew I just had to be along there with him, so thank you for that. I went with nieces and nephews and great-nieces and great-nephews, and I joined the pack and learned so much about each and every one of them, and I walked away just knowing a whole different part of my family. Some make this journey for the first time, some had made it, have been there before, but what a surprise it was going to be for the newcomers. So what did I bring home with me from that trip, besides my dirty laundry and some tchotchkes, of course, memories and relationships to last a lifetime? Dayenu. That would have been enough. But I came back just a little bit different, and what a perfect time for me to share some thoughts. We as Jews are a resilient people, yet we can never be too comfortable or complacent. Like the people of Israel, we need to remain committed and prepared for maintaining a Jewish identity in this world, this country, even here in our county. If we don't do it, who will? I learned from my journey to Israel that so much positive can happen even when there's conflict and strife and threats looming. We cannot be held back or paralyzed by fear so that we don't speak out to others or reach out to others. And we have to remember to continue to be creative and use our voices and be leaders and demand social justice and maintain our individual and collective freedoms. Temple B'nai Israel for me was like a microcosm of Israel. We stand pretty much alone with some allies in the neighborhood and perhaps, but our real strength is our commitment here to Judaism and TBI. If we don't do it, who will? Our challenge is to figure out how we assimilate, be involved, yet not isolated in our communities, yet maintain our Jewishness and our Jewish values. We're clever, we are smart, and we're ingenious. Therefore, we can and need to always be mindful to do what is the right thing to do, not because what is most comfortable or convenient. As in Israel, we live with a constant awareness of threats and danger, yet life goes on. Not everything goes perfectly here or in Israel, but Israel is moving ahead, way ahead. And why? Because even when things get tough, and we ask, why us? At the end of the day, it is about not survival, but thriving. We know one constant in our life is change, and change is happening faster all of the time. So we have to learn to be faster and be more nimble and flexible and open to new ideas and talking to all kinds of people and taking all kinds of risks. Again, we cannot be motivated by fear, but we need to listen to others, not always have a response either, but just listen, and we can learn from others. And it is so important not to judge others just too hastily. Remember, you can't tell a book by its cover. We need to understand and accept that our world is becoming more diverse, and we must keep our doors open, our hearts, and our minds open to others. That is who we are, and we need to be involved. Stay connected in our community and take action when we see and hear of injustices or threats to our existence. So again, I ask, so why now? Why tonight? Because the path that I have been on has led me here. Also, Rabbi says so. Golda Meir said, to me, being Jewish means and has always meant being proud to be part of a people that has maintained its distinct identity for more than 2,000 years, with all the pain and torment that has been inflicted on us. So too, even sticks and stones can break my bones, but names and threats and challenges will never hurt me or hurt us if we stay strong and persevere and stay together as one community. Remember, too, if there is something that you want to do, maybe something outside of your comfort zone or something that you've dreamed of, trying or doing, get out of your Egypt. And if not now, when? Now is the time. I, too, want to thank Rabbi for the classes that really, truly did inspire me, and for my Leah and Kelly and Barbara, who are new friends of mine and I really treasure. And thank you to my family, for my sister for supporting me and urging me on for several years to do it. And thank you for my family to be here tonight to share this really special night. I love you too. So again, thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We're now going to turn to page 178 as we continue with a prayer for peace. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki Hatom Melech Hadom לכל השלום, כי אתה מלך Shalom Rab al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rab al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
We continue with a moment of silent prayer and reflection, each of us praying in the direction our hearts guide us at this moment.
עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Does anyone know how long the Jewish people have been gathering together to hear the public recitation of the words of Torah? Does anyone have a guess? 2,000, I hear. 3,000, it's a really long time. We're actually right in the middle, 2,500, so we were close. We got the top and the bottom half. We bring them together, 2,500 years, about the time that we've been reading the Torah publicly, the time of Ezra and Nehemiah. And I think about that often, that for 2,500 years, Jews on Shabbat, on holidays, we come together in our synagogues, our sacred spaces, to hear the word of Holy Scripture. Tonight, Jews in Clearwater, Florida, in New York City, in Sydney, Australia, Jerusalem, Rome, South Africa, wherever we are in the world, Jews are gathering together to hear the words of Torah this evening, to become inspired by them, to learn something new, take something away that is meaningful. And tonight, how special it is that we have 3 adult Benot Mitzvah students to breathe new life into this ancient text. We're going to turn in our prayer books to page 363, Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the service for the reading of the Torah. Assemble the people, the men, women, and children, and the strangers of your cities, to hear, to learn, to revere Adonai, your God, to observe faithfully the words of this Torah, and let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn to revere Adonai, your God. We now call to come forward Barbara Glowowski and Alyssa Bender to open the Ark. Let's all rise together.
כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו. גדלו לאדוני איתי, ורומו מה שמו יחדיו. לך אדוני הגדולה, והגיבורה, והעפרת, והנצח, וההוד. כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני המלאכה, ומתנשא לכל בראש. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד. על התורה
Please be seated. Our Torah reading this evening in honor of the festival of Shavuot, which begins tomorrow night. This is Erev Shavuot, so we're almost there. But in honor of the festival, we're going to read the traditional reading for this festival, which celebrates the reception of Torah at Mount Sinai. We're going to read the Ten Commandments, and so Parashat Yitro, the Ten Commandments, in Exodus chapter 20, beginning with verse 2. Our first Torah reader, Leah Slavinsky. We're going to call up for the Aliyah, David Bender and Robert Wandruff. And Ta'amod, come on up. Ya'amdu, you're going that way. And we have Leah Yehudit Bat Yitzchak reading Torah. So first we'll have the Aliyah over there with the blessing. That side.
On the other side over here.
Yeah, you're both on that side. There you go. Okay. Let's get the mic. There we go.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim. V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen.
Okay, here it goes. Anachi Adonai Elohecha, Asher Hotzeiticha me'eretz Mitzrayim mi'beit avadim. Lo yiyeh lecha Elohim acharim al panai. Lo ta'aseh lecha fetzel v'chol tamuna. Asher bashamayim mi ma'al va'aseh. Am I in the wrong?
Va'asher, you got it.
Va'asher. Ba'aretz mi tachat. Ba'asher ba'mayim mi tachat la'aretz. Lo tashtechaveh lahem v'lo ta'avdem ki Anochi Adonai Elohecha El Kana Poked Avon Avot Alo Al Banim Al Shileshim Va'al Ribeim Lisonai Vo'oseh Chesed la'alafim, le'ohavai, ulshemrei mitzvotai.
Shikoach. This is a blessing afterwards.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Natan Lanu Torat Emet. B'chayei Olam Nata B'Shochenu. Baruch Ata Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen. Shikoach, shikoach. Very nice.
Thank you.
Our next Torah reader will be Sandy Sunter, Sarah Leah Bat Moti Vechaya, and the Aliyah we called Come Forward, Ya'amdu, Jeremy, and Corey Silverman. And kids. That way.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai havarach le'olam voed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Lo tisa et shem Adonai Elohecha lashav, ki lo yenecha Adonai et asher yisa et shemo lashav. Zachor et yom hashabbat l'kadsho, sheshet yamim to avod.
Avod, yep.
Ve'asita kol melachtecha yom hashvi'i Shabbat l'Adonai Elohecha lo ta'aseh kol malacha
Malacha.
ata uvnecha uvetecha avodecha v'amatcha. What do you say? Uvhemdecha v'garka asher bisharecha. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashemayim v'et haaretz
Etayam, yep.
hatayam v'et kol asher bam
Vayanach.
Vayanach bayom hashvi'i al kain barach Adonai et yom hashabbat vayadkad shehu.
Shkoyach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nota b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Amen. Shkoyach.
You're so cute.
And now for our third Torah reader, we invite Kelly Siegel to come forward, Liba bat Avraham v'Sarah, and for the Aliyah to the Torah, Amdu, Michael, and Corey Siegel.
It's really unfair having to follow that.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, let's point to that. That's okay. I'm too old to read that. So. Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai havarach le'olam voed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Kabed et avicha ve'et imecha lama'an ya'arechun yamecha al ha'adama asher Adonai Elohecha noten lach. Lo tirzach, lo tin off, lo tignov, lo ta'ane vare echa ad shecher. Lo tachmod beit reyecha, lo tachmod eshet reyecha, va'avdo va'amato, v'shoro, v'chamaro, v'chol,
Asher L'Re'echa.
Shkoyach.
Oh, us again?
Us again.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'teshenu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
We came in third place.
Wonderful. With the Torah scroll still in our midst, we now are going to turn our thoughts to those in our community who are in need of healing. Whether they are in need of physical, spiritual, or mental healing, we'll take them into our hearts at this time of prayer. We're on page 371 in the prayer book in the middle of the page for Misha Beirach.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
The congregation is thinking of and wishing a refuah shlema to Pat Adamson, Eric Adler, Raymond Douglas Alcorn, David Altner, Barbara Bachman, Marty Bilo, Joe Brickman and Fran Brickman, John Conway and Cole, Richard Corwin, Mark Edelstein, Mickey Edelstein and Benjamin Edelstein and Brian Edelstein, Danielle Heyman Feist, Eric Fisk, Sam Friedman, Carolyn Gold, Bob Gold, Linda Goldman, Jennifer Gousset, Barbara Green and Buddy Green, Marvin Hollander and Stuart J. Harriet Kaplan, Lori Cattleman, Hank Corin, Wendy Sugarman Krosnoff, Dr. Sonia Linky, Michael Lynch, Madeline Leone, Elsa Mikosh, Dolores Munsick, Ruth Polar, Mary Jane Resch, Jane and Jess Rifkin, Don Rolander, Liesl Schick, Lee Siegel, Dr. Cindy Steinman, Pete Tanner, Fred Truex, and Michael Verub. We say these names, all those that we are thinking of, both here and at home, as we conclude as we say.
מקור הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
We now call up Dennis Eichelbaum, Sherry Johnson, and Jim Rosewater to lift and dress the Torah, and Corey and Brooke Siegel to open the Ark. Let's all rise together. Okay, hold on.
More of this lifting?
No, just use this, but we get everyone in position here. Okay.
Ready?
Please go right ahead.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. Yai dai, 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 dai. Yai dai, 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 dai. Ya dai, yai, dai, dai. Ya dai, ya dai. Ya dai, dai, dai. Ya dai, dai. Ya dai, dai, dai. Yadai, dai, yadai, yadai, dai, dai.
We're on page 374 as we put the Torah back into the ark.
Eitz chaim hi limachazikim ba v'tomecheha meushal drachea darchei noam v'kol nativoteha Shalom, Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem.
Please be seated. You're supposed to be. Oh, no, yeah, they can scooch. Okay. Yes, you can down there. Places, everyone. And you can sit down too. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. My dear students, Mazel Tov. We call say Mazel Tov. What a beautiful service this has been. You've all worked so hard to reach this sacred moment in time, studying rigorously over the past year, learning and growing together. Whether it was exploring ancient Jewish texts and their relationship to our world today, examining the philosophical and theological writings of great Jewish thinkers, contemplating the very nature of the divine, or discovering the history and meaning of our Shabbat prayers, you were always up to the test. You brought your energy, your experiences, and your questions to each lesson, allowing us to delve even deeper into these challenging subjects. And after months upon months of being students of Torah, tonight you became teachers of Torah as well, as each of you crafted a meaningful Devar Torah, inspiring us with your words. I'm so very proud of all of you. It is, of course, no accident that we chose the Shabbat preceding the festival of Shavuot to perform this ritual. For tomorrow night, the Jewish community celebrates the moment in which God bestows upon the children of Israel the gift of Torah, symbolized tonight by a recitation of the Ten Commandments. In this holy moment, amidst smoke and fire, lightning and thunder, God revealed Torah to our ancestors, after which our people have passed down its teachings and traditions for thousands of years. From generation to generation, the Jewish people have accepted the Torah into their lives, into their hearts. My students, the flame of Sinai continues to burn brightly when we engage in the study of Torah. When we learn from our sacred texts, we gain knowledge, which helps us make sense of our lives and, in turn, to make sense of the world. The study of Torah has the power to transform our lives as we strive to embody its highest values: love, empathy, compassion, and peace, the pursuit of justice and learning, the dedication to the creation of a better self and a better world. This is what it means to be a Talmud Torah, a student of Torah, and what it means to become Benot Mitzvah. During the time between Passover and Shavuot, it is traditional to read the words of Pirkei Avot, that great ethical treatise. So I think it's fitting for me to conclude with a teaching from this fantastic text. Pirkei Avot teaches, Torah gives life to all who practice it. Gives life to all who practice it. What does that mean? Does studying Torah grant us more years on this earth? Does it stave off death? No. The meaning of this text is that when we engage with the words of Torah, when we not only study it but practice it, we create a life of meaning, a life of substance, a life of holiness. My students, on this sacred night, this is my prayer, my blessing for you. May your studies help you to continue to build a life devoted to the highest ideals of our faith. May your learning deepen your connection to the holy around you and inside of you. And may you always work to fulfill our people's mission of creating a better world, one which is illuminated by Sinai's flames, the light of truth, justice, love, and peace. Together we say, Amen. Now, many of you know that one of the most cherished rituals here at Temple B'nai Israel is that when a teenager goes through confirmation, they get to attach a bracelet inscribed with their name to the ones we have hanging in the ark. In doing so, our students link their names with members of our community in years past, symbolizing our commitment to pass down Jewish teaching L'dor Vador from generation to generation. Tonight, we begin a new custom, as our adult Benot Mitzvah will attach a necklace upon which hangs a mezuzah, a sign of Jewish identity, onto this chain. It is our hope that this new practice inspires other adult learners to become B'nai Mitzvah, strengthening their Jewish learning, their sense of Jewish identity, and their connection to the holy. Please rise together as we call up our Benot Mitzvah and pronounce God's blessing upon them. We're also going to invite Rael Slavinsky to open the ark.
Right over here. Flip it around.
We got to be sure they hear it at home, so we need the mic. There we go. Okay. And now I ask you to bow your heads as we bestow God's blessing upon you.
Yivarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha.
May God's light always shine upon you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May God grant you the greatest of blessings, peace and fulfillment in life. As together we say, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. We now turn in our prayer books to page 586 as we continue with Aleinu.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. We're going to turn in our prayer books now to page 597. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We think of those who have passed away during this last year. Bob Pizzuti, Lily Singer, Shelley Foreman, Myron Pulfrey, Robert Sheldon, B.D. Rosenbaum-Madnick, Shirley Botkin, Jack Moss, Linda Fine, Sid Bolin, Joan Keller, Leo Weintraub, Nina Stegg, Janet White, Phyllis Krause, Phyllis Ullman, Sheila Buckwalter, Bob Mansfeld, Albert Gart, Barry Dabowski, Ann Blumenkrantz, Shirley Matler, and Richard Clausen. We also think of those who died at this season in years past. We're observing the yurtzeit this week of Dorothy Abrams, Mildred Edelman, Leona Alpern, Lawrence Applefield, Irving Baker, Paul M. Bachman, Floyd Benchy, Joan Benjamin, Raphael Berger, Leah Burrs, Sidney M. Better, Sarah Bloom, Fanny Borsick, Charlene Field, Charles Feit, Thelma Friedman, Anna Freierich, Milton Geiger, Bernard Ginsberg, Richard Goldbacher, Sylvia Gottenberg, Hannah Dobbin Graniff, Sasha Bryn Harriman, Abraham Heim, Marion N. Hirsch, Arnold Jacoby. Lillian Krause, Hyman Lakoff, Manuel Lev, Sam Levine, Joseph E. Metro, Bess Miller, Lillian Morris, Morton Moses, Ida Ruth Nussman, Frank L. Pollock, Charles Nathan Roth, Jessica Smith Ruttenberg, Deborah Rosewater Ryan, Ernest Schnur, Marcia Seeger, Jacob Sperber, Joseph Stein, Abraham Sterenis, Lillian Treiser, Maurice Westerman, George Wolfe, and Rose Yagoda. Is there anyone else observing a yurt site saying Kaddish for any reason? Please speak their name. We now rise together in body or spirit for Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, b'yalma divrach rutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'gala v'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach leolam l'olmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushvechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'yalma v'imru amen Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen Oseh shalom b'mromav Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to Israel, and all of the world, as together we say amen. Amen. Please be seated. Going to invite Leah, Kelly, and Sandy to come forward and stand right about here. It wouldn't be a bat mitzvah without some gifts.
He said no gifts.
Yeah. So we have for our benot mitzvah, we have a mezuzah. You can hang that in your home, on your door. Very nice. We have a bat mitzvah certificate, making it official that they have become benot mitzvah on this day. And so we have that. And of course, the history of the Jewish people of Pinellas County, Florida, from 1883 to 2005. We usually tell our younger B'nai Mitzvah students that maybe they'll be in the next edition. Maybe you're in this edition already. I don't know. My goodness. Fantastic. So we have these wonderful gifts, and it is a really fascinating book of the history of how this community developed. You know, in the Jewish world, community is so important. To get a sense of where we came from can help guide us to maybe where we're going next. So here's to all of our students with our blessings. Yeah, I'm telling you. It's a little lift. Okay. Yeah, sure.
And it wouldn't be a B'nai Mitzvah, but Benot Mitzvah without giving our synagogue a gift and to our rabbi. This is from the three of us.
It's the pony I always wanted. So excited. Thank you. Thank you for that. That is wonderful. Going to now invite Melissa Brom to come forward. Melissa is a member of our board of directors, newly minted, board secretary. You can sit down. Yeah. And Melissa is going to present us with a few synagogue announcements. Look at you. Well, yes, you do, but it's close enough. Close enough.
Yeah, that's good.
Good.
Thank you to Rabbi Cantor for a wonderful Shabbat. Welcome, and thank you, Beth Gelman, for the wonderful music, and thank you, Maria, for the awesome piano accompaniment. Sandy, Leah, and Kelly, you guys were amazing. It's enough for me to get up here and say this. I don't know how you did it. Thank you this evening for making sure our services are being streamed. Tomorrow evening at 6:30, we will be celebrating Shavuot with a program, Judaism and Cheesecake. We will learn about the origins behind the tradition of eating dairy on this festival. After a brief teaching, we will enjoy a dessert reception featuring treats from Bassano Cheesecake, which is in Safety Harbor. If you haven't been there, it's amazing. Sunday, June 5th at 9:30 a.m., there will be a Shavuot Yitzchak service via Zoom. Temple B'nai Israel and Temple Beth El will be joining together to celebrate the morning of Shavuot and provide opportunity to honor the memory of our loved ones. I am sure after this evening, meeting and hearing our new cantorial soloist, Beth Gelman, you will want to be a part of the official welcome of Beth on Friday, June 24th, 2022 at our 7 p.m. services. On Friday, July 1st at 6 o'clock p.m., we will celebrate America with a barbecue dinner and Shabbat service. Please go to the website to RSVP. And one more awesome event. TBI goes to the Rays on Sunday, July 17th. First pitch will be at 1:40 p.m. This event is $40 per person and includes a hat. We do have a block of tickets near third base, and tickets usually are $70. This is such a deal. Just a reminder to take a few minutes during the week to catch the latest on TBI's goings-on. The e-blast is one of the best ways to find out all that's happening here at TBI. Remember, be safe and be kind. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Melissa. And as you mentioned, I want to thank Pete Tanner. Pete is streaming the service for us, so we appreciate how that helps us bring the service to people who are at home. I want to thank Maria on the piano. Always does a beautiful job for us in our community, so thank you, Maria. And Beth, the first of many.
Right,
So-
and you heard it wasn't official tonight. This was just practice. So
And so we thank Beth. Yeah, it's really exciting, and we look forward to leading many services with you in the future.
Such an honor.
Very
Thank you.
lovely. Once again, Mazel Tov to our adult Benot Mitzvah. We'll have them stand up and come to the front. For Motzi, we'll invite all the kids to come up. All of our young people, young in body or spirit, can
There
come
we are.
forward as we rise together. For Motzi, our oneg is in the social hall. We have a lot of tasty treats. So thank you to everyone for helping create that experience. Thanks to everyone who helped bring us to this really special moment. And so we'll uncover the challah. Somebody can uncover the challah? There we go. And let us join together.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon.
Enjoy. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, chiri biri biri bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shalom, shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom. Shabbat Shabbat shalom, Shabbat Shabbat, Shabbat Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom. Thank you
sorry, my voice is not quite recovered, but.
Got it. Great.
Oh,